What's up, guys? My name is Darryl Williams, and welcome to vlog number 5. Today, I want to talk to you guys about dealing with loss, losing real estate deals, not loved ones, and how, as a real estate agent, to push forward and how to overcome that. And I'm just going to share a story of my own personal experience and how I lost my biggest deal about 3 weeks ago. But before we dive into that, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. So, about 3 weeks ago, I met a couple who was looking for an apartment in the Upper Manhattan area. Their budget was up to $1 million. And I was hyped. I was like, $1 million, let's go. I'm ready. I'll show you anything you want to see. I'm free, I'm open and available. So, I mean, granted, that would be my biggest deal to date if this was to go through, right? So, met them, had a conversation, discussed what they were looking for, their criteria, showed them about 3 apartments in that first week, and the third one we saw, they loved it. They were like, we want to put in an offer, and I was like, that's awesome. They were like, I didn't think we were going to find an apartment so quickly. I wish we found this in the next 2 weeks. And I was like, awesome. Like, I did such a good job that I found you your apartment in the first week. So that was awesome. So I was like, let's discuss putting in an offer on the property. So we discussed, we talked numbers, checked the comps in the building. Caveat, there was someone who did put in an offer, but the seller hadn't fully accepted it because they were looking for an attorney, so that was kind of at a standstill, which means there's still time for my buyer to submit an offer and possibly get the apartment. But now we have to outbid this current buyer who's interested in the property as well. So, looking at the comps in the building and then looking at where the apartment was priced, it was kind of underpriced. It was pretty underpriced for what it was. About 1,300 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. And there was a similar apartment 1 floor above, which sold for like 1.2 or something to that nature. So this apartment was just right at the $1 million mark. So it was like, we should just go in at full ask. We don't know what that offer is, but it doesn't sound like it's a full ask offer. If it was, the agent would have let me know. So let's go in at full ask, and that is what we did. And then we heard back that the seller was going to go with my buyer's offer. So we were all excited. I was like, congratulations, you got an accepted offer. This apartment's about to be yours. So, we sent the deal sheet out. The seller's agent was like, that other buyer is still interested. So he was kind of pushing to try to get these contracts out really quickly, but due diligence takes about a week or so to complete and then have the contract sent out. So it doesn't happen that fast. Nonetheless, he was still pushing about it, saying I had this other buyer scratching at the door. They really want the apartment. So I was like, I will talk to the attorneys to see what I can do if we can speed this up. Which we weren't really able to speed this up, but it got done in the week that it was supposed to be done. So that Friday, they were finishing up on due diligence. They sent the contract to my buyer to review it and send comments and send back. So now it's been about a week since we had accepted offer, due diligence to be done, or almost that contract signed. Then I get a call from the seller's agent, a call I didn't really want to get, telling me that other buyer sent a signed contract and a down payment to the seller. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, we have a handshake on this property. Tell the seller to be a little bit more patient. Like, the contracts are almost signed. Like, we're just reviewing it and sending it back for comments. He was like, they really wanted it. They sent the wire deposit. And it's kind of hard to compete. The seller's now sitting on cash and a half-signed contract. We don't have anything from us except an offer. There's really nothing we can do. So I had to make a call that I really didn't want to make. I hate delivering bad news. I feel like there should be like a specific class for this in real estate. I don't think there is. Like, doctors get that, how to deliver bad news to loved ones about a loved one who's probably gonna die. Anyways, so I had to make an uncomfortable phone call on the roof of my building. I was up there for at least 30 minutes pacing back and forth while on the phone discussing with them that, hey guys, we lost the apartment. And they're like, what can we do? I was like, well, one option is to compete, to go in aggressive as well, send the contract that's signed that's still not necessarily updated from the comments it's made, but we can do that manually, sign it, and we can wire a deposit first thing tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And they're like, let's do it. So I texted the agent, I called them and said, hey, my buyers are serious, that they're gonna sign the contract and wire the deposit. Just tell your seller not to sign the contract yet. I heard nothing from him. Called him several times, sent him several text messages. I was being real pushy. now. And he still didn't get back to me until tomorrow morning, where he was like, hey, seller signed the contract at 6 p.m. yesterday. And I was like, damn it, really? They couldn't wait? We had a handshake on the property. They were going to go through it. My client's financials were excellent. And still, you guys went ahead with the other buyer. And I felt like it was a little bit shady. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm taking it personal. But I feel like we had a handshake on the property. You could have pulled the other buyer off and tell him, no, the seller's going with this buyer. So now, bad news number 2. First, we lost the initial bid because this buyer came in out of nowhere, super aggressive. And then we tried to be aggressive, and the seller signed a contract with the other buyer. So I didn't call this time. I sent a text message because I got the answer early in the morning. I didn't want to call them. Sent a text message. They were really disappointed. And they were like, we're going to take a beat and over the weekend, and we'll contact you next week. I was like, sorry guys, I wish I could do more. But I hope we can still work together and find you something. So I was like, I'm not sure what I should do. I called my principal broker and he kind of coached me through it. So I sent them an email, saying, going forward, we got to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm sorry that you couldn't get the apartment, that we missed out on it, and then I'm here to help still when you guys already look again. Sent them some other options that they can consider that were comparable. They didn't reply to the email, but I sent it and I felt pretty good about it. I was still worried that they may not want to look again, or they may not want to work with me again. Because usually in real estate, the broker always gets blamed. Whether you're working for a seller or a buyer, it always gets blamed. It's funny, it comes with the game, right? So I didn't hear from them for a few days until like midweek of the following week, and they wanted to see 2 of the apartments that were on the list, and one that just came on the market actually as well. So we went and looked at that apartment that Sunday. So pause. We lost the deal, I did not lose the client. And that's very important. You can lose the deal, but don't lose the client. So it's not all bad. I did lose my biggest deal, but I still have the buyers. And good news is that this week we got an accepted offer on another property, which is just as good as the one that they lost, and $100,000 cheaper. And we got an accepted offer on it. Deal sheet was sent out. We're working on due diligence and working to get the contracts out. So it's still a win. It might have been the $1 million offer that we had on the last one, but I'm happy that they found the apartment that they really love and that we're gonna get it this time. And the reason why we were able to get that, and how I was still able to keep them as clients, and why losing this one deal, though it sucked because it was my biggest deal, but how I was still able to keep going, is because what I talked about last vlog was persistence. I didn't let my clients go. I was like, we're gonna find you something. Here are some other options for you to consider. And then I let them chill for a few days. But I was persistent. I always had them in mind. And that's one thing to consider when you lose the deal. Your feelings don't matter at the moment. You gotta sympathize with your client. You have to speak with them. You have to assure them to get things straightened out. And now, if you have a loved one at home, when you go home, cry about it, and how you lost the deal and how it sucks and the world hates you, or whatnot. But their feelings matter first in that scenario. And then secondly, another way to deal with losing deals, no pun intended, is you gotta have as many balls in the air as possible. You gotta keep, and that's not an original phrase from me, I'm just borrowing a terminology. But you gotta keep as many in rotation as you can. So if you have 10 and you drop 1 or 2, you still got 8 in rotation. And you can still push it on. It's like, all right, I lost those 2 deals, but since you're smart and you're a good agent, you didn't lose the clients. So you still have potential to throw those back into rotation. And that's how you keep going as a real estate agent. You should never only be working with one client or one deal at a time and have nothing else in works. Because then when you do lose that one deal, and if you possibly lose a client, it's gonna suck even more. Because you're gonna lose a lot of deals starting out as a real estate agent. And if you skip rentals and go straight into sales, it's gonna suck that much more because it takes longer and every deal matters. And when the deal doesn't go through, and especially if you're doing it full time, it's gonna hurt. So you have to keep as many balls in rotation as you can. You have to be persistent. Keep the clients, keep sending them listings. You lost the deal, but you didn't lose them, so you gotta hang on. You gotta be tenacious. And you have to, again, say it again, have multiple balls in rotation.